Welcome, my dear students of class 9A and 9B. Today, these points, as I mentioned in the board, I am going to re-explain. I am going to re-explain about the Mauryan Empire, the society, welfare works of the Mauryans, art, Ashoka, and Buddhism, decline of the Mauryans. Now, society, what was about the condition of the society? Both Megasthenes and Kautila, the two famous writers during the age of the Mauryas, they wrote about the people during the people under the Mauryans. According to Kautila and Megasthenes, people were happy, rich, and prosperous. Although, upper class people were privileged class people, yet lower class people also lived with them, lived together peacefully, since they also were happy, since they were not poor. They had enormous income. Naturally, they also could lead a very happy and prosperous life. That's why law and order was established throughout the country, and relationship between these two group of people, lower and higher, was very healthy, and there was a system of protecting the country by the people also. People also considered themselves to be a part of administration. Naturally, they had great sympathy, they had great respect for their motherland. That's why they always remain conscious of each and every activity of different people who did not want to protect their kingdoms, who did not want to protect their empire from the enemies. That's why this group of people, both upper class and lower class, always became conscious, alert in protecting their empire and sending the message wherever it was necessary to the court of Ashoka. That's why it is said that the Mauryan society was highly organized society. Although the main occupation of the people was agriculture, yet other people also lived whose occupations who were shepherd, who were carpenters, who were weavers, painters, masons. This group of people also lived, and their occupations were different than the occupation of the agriculturists or peasants and farmers. The next point, welfare works. Ashoka, during his rule, he constructed so many good roads and planted fruit trees besides the two sides of the road. He did it so with an aim of providing not only shelter for the travelers but also food for them. And he always looked after the condition of the poor, the condition of the people, basically lower class people, whether they had any grievance, whether they had any kind of inconveniences. And whenever he would come to know about their distress, about their problems, immediately he visited the places and found out solution, not temporary solution, but permanent solution. He did not want to take any advantage for himself, but always tried to provide advantages to other people who had respect for their kingdom and for their king. That's why he always found out permanent solution, but not temporary solution. I would solve my problem, I would solve my problems permanently. I would find out a permanent solution for myself, and in the case of other people, I would not find out any permanent solution but temporary, in order to keep on disturbing them from backside or from backside of the curtain. It was this kind of unfair policy Ashoka did not frame. Not only he framed good policy, but also did it in order to provide, conveniences for the people, so that they must accept him. They would accept him to be one of the greatest rulers of the country. And ultimately, Ashoka was able to establish a strong kingdom. And next point, art. The Maurya period is remarkable for its artistic achievements. Ashoka constructed a number of stupas, number of viharas. Ashoka was respectful to the concept of Buddhism. He himself received knowledge of Buddhism. He recognized Buddhism to be state religion. At the same time, he spent a lot of money for the construction of a number of monasteries, stupas, and also appointed a number of monks to survey a report whether the concept of Buddhism was being popularized among the people. Whatever he learned from the preachings and teachings of Buddha, Lord Buddha, he considered it to be relevant to the modern life. He thought that the preachings and teachings of Buddha or Lord Buddha was very much practical, and he applied it in his practical life. And by, experimenting the process of utilizing the concept of Buddhism in practical field, what knowledge he gained was also practical. That's why, as a ruler, as a non-violent ruler, Ashoka also achieved success. Although as a violent ruler, Ashoka achieved success by defeating the Kalingans in the Kalinga War. But in the field of setting up a new image, the image of a non-violent ruler, Ashoka also achieved success. He became a non-violent ruler, but still there was no irregularity in the country. No one dared to attack the kingdom of Ashoka. Why? Because of his outstanding personality. Outstanding personality. He was a non-violent ruler. He became a non-violent ruler, but still he had great personality, outstanding personality. Whenever any kind of problem arises, he visited there, and his physical appearance, his outstanding personality solved all the problems. The people who had been suffering from different diseases, Ashoka provided a new system for them. He started planting of trees for medicinal herbs, for providing medicines for the needy people. He set up nurseries in order to provide medicinal herbs for supplying of medicines for various types of diseases. People died without being treated. That's why he made such an arrangement. Ashoka openly said, once upon a time I was a violent ruler, but now I have become a non-violent one. All the people of the country are my children. I have sympathy for them. I shall protect them during their distress. I shall help them during their requirement. I shall present there. I shall reach there as soon as I will be called by them. Even during midnight. Why? Because what religious concept I have recognized to be state religion, Buddhism, gave me a new idea. That's why I gave importance to the concept of humanism. I always treat both human beings and animals equally. Because of that reason, they are the gifts of the Almighty God. I have equal sympathy for plants, living element, living things. That's why I planted a number of trees, number of fruit trees, not only to provide shade, but also food to the travelers when they felt thirsty. I have decided to dig a number of wells in order to provide drinking water for them. That's why I, myself, a king of Mauryan dynasty, can proudly say that people under my administration, under my rule, are happy, prosperous, rich, only because of my sacrifice, because of my contribution. I did not extend my empire, and I do not want to do it. Why? Because whatever extension is there, it is my first and foremost duty to protect it by adopting the policy of non-violence. But no one is there who violated my system. Everyone is cooperating with me. That's why I must welcome them. Those who are cooperating with my system, with my method, with my, religious policy, I shall be grateful to them. But unfortunately, decline of the Mauryan Empire. Unfortunately, after Ashoka, the last Mauryan emperor, Brihadratha, failed to protect the glory and dignity of Mauryan Empire. And was killed by one military officer, military commander in chief, Pushyamitra Shunga. By killing Brihadratha, the last Mughal emperor, Pushyamitra Shunga founded Shunga dynasty in ancient India. Now, why was he killed? Brihadratha had no skill like Ashoka. Brihadratha was unable to protect the entire administrative system introduced by Ashoka. Brihadrata was unable to establish a link between the administrative head and other organs of the government. Naturally, the local administrators took its advantages and liberties, and other kingdoms, other kings who had been eagerly waiting to take such an advantages, they availed themselves of that opportunities. They attacked the empire, and Brihadrata was unable to protect them. Only because of that reason, a number of territories were being attacked by the local chieftains, local rulers and tribal kings. After the death of Ashoka, Brihadrata was unable to resist their attack and was unable to start counter-attack on them. It encouraged the military commander-in-chief Pushyamitra Shunga, who also was a part of the Mauryan army under Brihadrata. That act of misery of Brihadrata encouraged Pushyamitra Shunga to be a ruler of a new dynasty. That's why he started plotting against Brihadrata. And ultimately, Brihadrata left such an opportunity to be killed. Ultimately, he was killed. Brihadrata became a king of the Mauryan dynasty, the last king of the Mauryan dynasty, but the image of the Mauryan dynasty which was established by his ancestors, he failed to protect it. On the contrary, he remained busy in leading a very luxurious life, a very enthusiastic life. That's why, my dear students, Brihadrata failed to achieve success. It is said, as per the terms of the historians, that a king can be killed whenever he gives birth of millions of enemies. That means a king can be killed, a political leader can be killed at any time because they always give a birth of a group of enemies. They never like to lead a very steady life, a very honest life. Because of their dishonesties, they are generally killed. What happened to Brihadrata? Brihadrata left the policy of honesty, which was followed by Ashoka till his death. But Pushyamitra Shunga was firmly honest to his principle. He took its advantages, started plotting, and finally gave a shape to his dream by killing Brihadrata. After the death of Brihadrata, a new dynasty was founded during ancient period by Pushyamitra Shunga to these my dear students. Thank you.